Claudia pushed her cart through the narrow aisle of the aircraft, her eyes scanning the familiar faces of first-class passengers. It was a routine she knew by heart: the warm towels, the polite smiles, the predictable personalities that filled the plush seats surrounding her. Each passenger seemed to fit neatly into a role she had learned to recognize, like pieces of a puzzle that snapped together effortlessly. Some offered nods of appreciation, others barely glanced her way, immersed in their own worlds. But then there was him, seated by the window, a calm composure enveloping him like a cloak. His subtle smile didn't conform to the usual entitlement she encountered. As she approached, an inexplicable curiosity tinged with irritation flickered within her. What was it about this man that made him different? He didn't fit into her well-rehearsed script. "Would you like a towel to freshen up before takeoff?" she asked. Her voice clipped yet polite, maintaining the professional demeanor she had honed over the years. "Thank you," he replied, taking the towel without lifting his gaze from the well-worn leather-bound book resting in his other hand. Claudia squinted, trying to make out the title, her mind racing through the possibilities. What kind of book would a man like him be reading? A flashy bestseller to match the luxury of his first-class seat, perhaps? Or something profound that hinted at a depth she felt he possessed? "Interesting book," she ventured, attempting small talk, though a hint of irritation crept into her tone. Why wouldn't he look up? "Yes. Very," he replied, his expression polite but distant, as if he were weighing how much of himself to share. After a brief pause, he returned his focus to the pages, leaving her feeling dismissed, almost insulted. Claudia prided herself on the way passengers typically responded to her, whether through a polite smile or a grateful word. She was used to controlling the dynamics, however subtly. Yet this man seemed impervious to her charm. It rattled her in a way she couldn't quite articulate, stirring a vulnerability that made her annoyance spike even higher. As she moved down the aisle, her mind replayed the brief exchange. The man had settled back comfortably, one hand resting on the armrest while the other held the book, his eyes absorbed in whatever world the pages contained. His calmness bordered on arrogance in her mind, an unspoken assertion that he was detached from the atmosphere of the cabin and from her authority within it. After the takeoff announcements, Claudia resumed her duties, offering drinks and arranging the dinner menus. She returned to his seat, tension lingering from their earlier encounter. Clearing her throat, she leaned over slightly. "We have a selection of beverages available," she said, her voice smooth yet edged with formality. "Sparkling water is fine." "Thank you," he said, his eyes lifting to meet hers with a calm and level gaze. A small smile flickered on his lips. The words nearly caught in her throat. It wasn't that there was anything wrong with his choice, of course not, but rather that she had expected something different. Most first-class passengers reveled in showcasing their preferences, eager to indulge in the luxury of their surroundings. Yet he sat there, unruffled, seemingly untouched by the opulence that surrounded him. As she poured his sparkling water, setting it down with crisp precision, she couldn't shake the feeling that he was watching her, gauging her reaction. It unsettled her, the thought that he might sense her irritation. But she quickly brushed it off, reminding herself that she was the authority here. He was just another passenger, no different from anyone else, regardless of how much he paid for his seat. The cabin settled into a lull, but Claudia found herself lingering nearby, pretending to check on adjacent passengers while casting glances at him out of the corner of her eye. He finished his water and returned to his book, his focus unwavering. Something about his stillness made her uncomfortable, like he was quietly challenging her. Finally, she turned away, heading to the back of the cabin where her colleague Jenny was preparing meal trays. Jenny shot her a questioning look, noting the tightness in Claudia's expression. "Everything all right?" Jenny asked, concern lacing her voice. "Just one of the passengers," Claudia replied, folding her arms against the galley counter. "He's different." "Different how?" Jenny raised an eyebrow, a slight smile playing on her lips. "I don't know," Claudia muttered, feeling ridiculous as she voiced her thoughts. "He's too calm, too composed. Maybe he's just relaxed," Jenny offered with a shrug. "Not everyone's out to make a fuss." "Maybe," Claudia said, though her thoughts remained troubled. She glanced back toward the cabin, catching another glimpse of him. He was still there, absorbed in his book, seemingly unaware or unconcerned by her scrutiny. As the meal service began, Claudia prepared herself, determined to navigate the interaction smoothly this time. Approaching his seat again, she placed the tray in front of him with all the politeness she could muster. "Your meal, sir," she said, her words polite but cool. "Thank you," he replied, his tone genuinely appreciative, though his expression remained distant. He took his time with each course, savoring each bite with a kind of reverence that struck Claudia as unusual. Most first-class passengers rushed through their meals, absorbed in their own world of importance. But this man seemed content to linger, as if he were enjoying a quiet evening at home rather than 30,000 feet in the air. Claudia's frustration simmered beneath the surface, and though she didn't fully understand why, she had been trained to cater to all types. Yet his calmness felt like a refusal, an unspoken assertion of independence that defied her role as the person in charge. After collecting his empty tray, she decided to approach him one last time, hoping that perhaps a genuine smile or a polite conversation could shift the strange tension she felt. "Is there anything else I can get for you, sir?" she asked, keeping her tone neutral but with an edge of curiosity. He looked up, his eyes steady as he regarded her. "No thank you. I appreciate your service." There it was again, politeness without attachment. An almost clinical gratitude that seemed to miss her entirely. She felt the tension within her tighten, barely managing to hold back her frustration. A strange, inexplicable sensation pricked at her, a sense that perhaps there was more to him than she could see. Something beyond the surface. As she turned away, heading back to the galley, her mind whirled with a dozen thoughts. Who was he? Why was he here? And why, of all people, did he make her feel so uncertain, so powerless? For the first time in her career, Claudia found herself questioning not only a passenger's motives but her own reactions as well. It was unsettling, a feeling that gnawed at her as she moved through the rest of her duties, glancing back at him occasionally. Each time, he remained still, absorbed in his book, unperturbed by her scrutiny. Claudia continued her rounds in the first-class cabin, her steps light but purposeful as she maneuvered through the narrow aisle. Yet her mind kept drifting back to the quiet man by the window. There was something undeniably different about him, a poised detachment that felt almost unnatural in such an environment. Despite her efforts to shift her focus, she found herself constantly aware of his presence, as though some invisible thread pulled her attention back to him. As the meal service wound down, Claudia approached his seat again, casually arranging the empty trays from the other passengers. He was still reading, the leather-bound book now open to a different chapter. A small, almost imperceptible smile playing at the corner of his mouth, as if he were enjoying some private joke within its pages. A prick of irritation settled under her skin, lingering like an itch. Her curiosity won out over her professionalism. She cleared her throat softly, hoping to catch his attention in a way that appeared unintentional. When he finally glanced up, she offered a polite, if slightly forced, smile. "Interesting book?" she asked, keeping her tone light. "Yes," he replied simply, his voice as calm and measured as his demeanor. He didn't offer any additional details, no summary, no explanation. Just a return to the pages that held him captive. Claudia's fingers twitched as she held onto the tray in her hands, the silence stretching longer than she had intended. His lack of engagement made her feel dismissed, irrelevant even, and that notion gnawed at her. She was used to passengers eager for her attention, people who wanted to know her name or perhaps even flirt a bit, breaking up the monotony of a long flight with idle conversation. But he seemed content to let her remain a background figure, a mere facilitator in his journey. And something about that felt deeply unsatisfactory. The rest of the cabin settled into a quiet hum, most passengers reclining with their blankets, a few already drifting off to sleep. Claudia checked the time, still hours to go until their destination. The soft glow of the cabin lights cast a tranquil ambience. But within her, the irritation bubbled like an itch that wouldn't go away. Determined to make some sort of connection, Claudia moved to the galley and prepared a second drink for him, taking her time to carefully select a glass and add a few slices of lemon, crafting it as though it were a special order. She had always been praised for her attention to detail, and she intended to make that known. After a few moments, she returned to his seat, holding the glass just so, allowing the condensation to catch the light. "I thought you might like something refreshing," she said, her tone now infused with genuine warmth. He looked up, a hint of surprise crossing his features as he accepted the drink. "Thank you," he said, his tone warmer this time. "That was thoughtful of you." Her heart raced slightly, and for a moment, she felt a flicker of triumph. Perhaps this was the turning point, a chance to break through the barrier that had stood between them all flight. But just as quickly, that flicker dimmed. He took a sip, returning his focus to his book, and the moment slipped away. Claudia stood there for a heartbeat longer, watching him as he immersed himself in his reading once again. The connection severed before it could even begin. "Of course," she murmured, turning on her heel and retreating back to the galley, her heart heavy with frustration. Why was she letting this passenger get under her skin? It was just another flight. Another day at work. She was the professional here. And yet something about him unsettled her. An unwelcome challenge to her sense of authority. As the plane cruised smoothly through the clouds, Claudia took a deep breath, willing herself to shake off the odd tension. She had a job to do, after all, and there were passengers who needed her attention. But as she moved through the aisles, serving drinks and offering warm smiles, she found her mind constantly drifting back to him. The calm man in seat 4A was not just another passenger, he was a puzzle she couldn't solve. An enigma that seemed to mock her confidence with each passing moment. Little did she know, this encounter would be the catalyst for a journey that would take her far beyond the confines of that aircraft, challenging everything she thought she knew about herself, her career, and the very nature of her ambitions. The plane leveled out, and Claudia felt the familiar hum of the engine settle into a rhythmic thrum. It was a comforting sound, one she had come to associate with the mundane magic of flying. But today felt different. The man in 4A had disrupted her usual routine, leaving her with an unsettling mixture of curiosity and frustration that lingered in the air like a storm cloud. As the meal service came to an end, she moved through the cabin, collecting empty trays and ensuring every passenger was comfortable. But her thoughts were elsewhere. She couldn't shake the feeling that her brief interactions with him were leading somewhere. But she had no idea where that somewhere might be. "Claudia, you okay?" Jenny's voice broke through her thoughts as she joined her in the galley, a concerned expression crossing her face. "You seem distracted." "I'm fine," Claudia replied, forcing a smile. "Just a long flight, I guess." Jenny raised an eyebrow, unconvinced. "You've been on long flights before. What's really going on?" Claudia hesitated, glancing toward the front of the cabin where the man in 4A Saturday still absorbed in his book. "It's just a passenger," she admitted, her voice lowering. "He's different. It's like he's not even aware of the service. He's just there." "Different how?" Jenny pressed, her curiosity piqued. "Like he's not trying to impress anyone. Not playing the first-class game. He doesn't even seem to care about the luxury. It's unsettling," Claudia said, her frustration bubbling back to the surface. Jenny chuckled softly, her eyes twinkling with amusement. "Maybe he's just a normal guy who happened to buy a first-class ticket. Not everyone is looking for a status symbol. You know." "Maybe," Claudia replied, though her tone suggested she wasn't convinced. "But it's more than that. He seems so composed. It's like he doesn't fit into the mold I've come to expect." "Perhaps you're projecting your own insecurities onto him," Jenny teased gently. "You've been killing it out there, Claudia. Don't let one passenger get under your skin." Claudia rolled her eyes, grateful for Jenny's attempt to lighten the mood. But deep down, she knew it was more complicated than that. This passenger was challenging her perception, forcing her to confront her own expectations and biases in a way that felt unfamiliar. The flight progressed smoothly, but the cabin began to stir with the sounds of chatter and laughter. Passengers were engaged in conversations, many reflecting the luxury of their surroundings. Yet Claudia felt herself growing increasingly detached from the atmosphere. The closer she drew to the man in 4A, the more her heartbeat quickened, an undercurrent of anxiety threading through her veins. When she returned to his row with a fresh glass of sparkling water, she found him looking out the window, his expression contemplative. The sight sparked something inside her, a desire to connect, to understand. She hesitated for a moment before clearing her throat, determined to break through the wall of calm that surrounded him. "Enjoying the view?" she asked, trying to inject some lightness into her voice. He turned to her, surprise flickering in his eyes before softening into that same polite smile. "It's beautiful up here. You can see everything from this height." Claudia nodded, her heart racing as she took a moment to study him closely. The sharp angles of his jaw, the way his brow furrowed slightly when he thought, the gentleness in his demeanor, it was disarming. "Do you travel often?" she asked, genuinely curious now. "Not as much as I used to," he replied, leaning back in his seat. "I prefer to be grounded, to focus on the things that matter." His words struck a chord deep within her, resonating in a way she hadn't expected. "What do you mean by that?" she inquired, intrigued despite herself. He paused, considering his answer. "I think there's a beauty in simplicity. In everyday life, there's so much to learn and experience that's more meaningful than just the glamour of travel." Claudia felt a stir of irritation mixed with intrigue. "But isn't travel part of experiencing life? Don't you miss out on things by staying put?" He smiled, a knowing look in his eyes. "Sometimes the most profound experiences happen when you least expect them. Not all adventures require a plane ticket." His answer hung in the air, challenging her worldview in a way that felt both unsettling and exciting. She opened her mouth to respond, but the words eluded her. Instead, she found herself staring into his eyes, searching for the depth behind his calm demeanor. He was so unlike any other passenger she had encountered, someone who saw beyond the surface of wealth and privilege. Before she could formulate a response, the plane suddenly jolted, the fastened seatbelt sign flickering to life as turbulence rolled through the cabin. The shift was abrupt, causing passengers to grip their armrests and exchange nervous glances. Claudia felt a rush of adrenaline as she steadied herself against the aisle. "Ladies and gentlemen, we are experiencing some turbulence," the captain's voice crackled through the intercom. "Please remain seated with your seatbelts fastened. We should be through this shortly." Claudia turned her attention back to the man in 4A, who was still sitting calmly, a slight smile on his lips as he observed the chaos around him. The contrast between his demeanor and that of the other passengers was striking. While some passengers began to fidget and murmur, he remained anchored in his seat, as if the turbulence didn't bother him at all. "Are you okay?" she asked, her voice rising above the din. "Perfectly fine," he said, his calmness oddly reassuring amidst the unease that filled the cabin. "Turbulence is just a part of flying." Claudia nodded, but her heart raced as the plane dipped again, and she instinctively reached out to steady herself. "It's a bit more intense than usual," she admitted, her voice tinged with nervousness. "True," he acknowledged, his eyes sparkling with a hint of mischief. "But isn't that the thrill of it? The unpredictability?" "Thrill," she echoed, half laughing despite the situation. "I think I prefer my flights a bit less thrilling." He chuckled softly, a warm sound that sent an unexpected flutter through her chest. "Fair enough. But sometimes it's those unexpected moments that make the journey worth it. Don't you think?" As they locked eyes, Claudia felt a connection she hadn't anticipated, a shared understanding that transcended the confines of their roles. Perhaps this turbulence was more than just a physical disturbance, it was a catalyst for something deeper. A challenge to the barriers she had built around herself. The turbulence subsided after a few tense minutes, and the captain's voice returned, reassuring everyone that they were back on course. The cabin settled once again, and passengers began to relax. Though a sense of adrenaline lingered in the air, Claudia found herself drifting back toward the galley, her thoughts swirling. She was unsettled yet exhilarated, her mind racing with the implications of the conversation. What did it mean that this man, a stranger in her world of high-flying service, had sparked something within her? What other layers lay beneath the surface of her carefully curated life? As she poured herself a cup of coffee, Jenny joined her, raising an eyebrow. "What was that about?" Claudia shrugged, her mind still buzzing. "Just a conversation. But he sees things differently. It's refreshing." "Refreshing or annoying?" Jenny quipped, nudging her lightly. "Maybe both," Claudia admitted with a chuckle. "But it's making me think." "About what?" "About everything," Claudia replied, her voice more contemplative now. "What it means to connect with people, to really understand their perspectives. It's easy to get lost in the glamour of this job. But there's so much more to life, isn't there?" "Absolutely," Jenny agreed, her tone serious for a moment. "You just have to find the balance between your job and your own life." Claudia nodded, feeling the weight of those words settle in her chest. Perhaps this flight was more than just a job. Perhaps it was a reminder, a nudge to seek out meaning and connection in a world that often prioritized status over substance. Returning to the cabin, Claudia felt a renewed sense of purpose. She glanced at the man in 4A, who had returned to his book, seemingly unfazed by the earlier turbulence. But now, instead of irritation, she felt an urge to engage, to explore the depths of his thoughts further. As she approached his seat once more, she took a deep breath, ready to delve deeper into this unexpected connection. "Do you mind if I ask what you're reading?" she inquired, her curiosity piqued once again. He looked up, his expression shifting from surprise to delight. "It's a collection of essays on life and travel," he replied, gesturing to the cover. "They explore the relationship between the journey and self-discovery." "Sounds fascinating," she said, leaning in slightly. "What's the takeaway so far?" He smiled, a genuine spark of enthusiasm lighting his eyes. "That travel isn't just about the places you go, but the experiences that shape you along the way. Every moment can teach you something if you're open to it." Claudia felt a warmth spread through her chest at his words. "I can see how that would resonate with someone in your position," she remarked, her voice softening. "But I think it applies to all of us. Doesn't it?" "Absolutely," he agreed, his gaze steady and encouraging. "Sometimes it just takes a little turbulence to remind us of that." And with that, As the plane soared through the clouds, Claudia realized she was ready to embrace the unexpected, to let the turbulence guide her toward something greater than herself. This flight was no longer just about the destination, it was about the journey, and the remarkable connection she was forging with the man in 4A. As the plane cruised steadily above the clouds, Claudia felt a shift within herself. The brief exchange with Daniel had ignited something, a curiosity and a yearning for connection that she had almost forgotten amidst the routine of her job. She glanced around the cabin, observing the other passengers engrossed in their own worlds, but her thoughts kept returning to him. After the turbulence, the atmosphere in the cabin had changed. The initial anxiety had dissipated, replaced by a hum of chatter and laughter. Yet Claudia found herself increasingly aware of Daniel's presence, as if he were a gravitational force pulling her toward a different path. "Claudia, are you ready for the next round of drinks?" Jenny called from the galley, breaking her reverie. "Yeah, I'm coming," she replied, shaking off her introspection. As she joined Jenny, she couldn't help but feel a flutter of anticipation. She wanted to engage Daniel again, to delve deeper into the thoughts he had stirred in her mind. Returning to the cabin with a tray of beverages, Claudia took a moment to steady herself before approaching Daniel's seat. He looked up from his book, his expression brightening as their eyes met. "Back for more," he teased lightly. "Just making sure you're staying hydrated," she shot back, a smile playing on her lips. "What's the next chapter about?" "It's about finding your own path amidst the noise of expectations," he replied, gesturing for her to sit down beside him. "It resonates with the conversations we've been having, don't you think?" Claudia nodded, intrigued. "Absolutely. It's easy to get lost in what everyone else wants you to be. Sometimes, I wonder if I'm living for myself or just fulfilling a role." "Do you feel that pressure here?" he asked, leaning forward slightly, his interest genuine. "More than I'd like to admit," Claudia confessed, the words spilling out before she could censor them. "I love my job, but sometimes I feel like I'm just a cog in a machine. Everyone expects me to be the perfect flight attendant, to maintain this image of calm and poise, but underneath, I don't know. I'm searching for something more." Daniel listened intently, his gaze unwavering. "It sounds like you're at a crossroads," he said thoughtfully. "It's a critical moment when you realize that you have the power to choose your direction." The weight of his words struck her, igniting a spark of recognition. She had felt that pressure all her life, the expectations of her family, her peers, even her own ambitions. But was it truly her path? Or had she been walking someone else's? "I guess I've always been focused on the next step," she admitted. "The promotions, the accolades, the recognition. But lately, I've been questioning whether any of it truly matters if I'm not fulfilled." "Fulfillment is more than just achievements," Daniel replied, his tone steady. "It's about authenticity. It's what brings joy and meaning to your life." His words resonated deep within her, like a chord struck by a musician who knew just how to reach the audience's soul. Claudia felt her defenses beginning to crumble. In this cramped cabin, surrounded by strangers, she found herself wanting to open up, to share her struggles and aspirations with someone who seemed to understand. "What do you do when you feel lost?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "How do you find your way?" Daniel paused, considering his response. "I look for moments that inspire me. I seek out experiences that challenge my perspective. And sometimes, I just take a step back and reflect on what truly matters to me." Claudia couldn't help but admire the clarity in his approach. "That sounds easy. But it's not always so simple," she said, a hint of doubt creeping into her voice. "True," he agreed, nodding. "It's not easy to confront the things that scare you or to break free from the mold. But the reward is worth it. You become the architect of your own life, not just a passenger." A thoughtful silence settled between them, the noise of the cabin fading into the background. Claudia found herself drawn into Daniel's calm presence, captivated by the way he spoke with such conviction. She felt an unfamiliar desire to explore her own passions, to chart a course that was uniquely hers. "Have you always been this way?" she asked, genuinely curious. "So insightful?" He chuckled softly, the sound warm and inviting. "Not always. It's taken time and a few bumps along the road. I had my own struggles with expectations, especially in my career. But through it all, I learned the importance of listening to my own voice." "What changed for you?" Claudia pressed, eager to uncover more of his story. "There was a moment when I realized that chasing after someone else's vision of success wasn't fulfilling. I had to ask myself what truly mattered to me. And from there, everything shifted." As he spoke, Claudia felt a kinship with his journey. They were both navigating their own crossroads, searching for clarity amid the noise. I think I'm at that point now, she admitted. Trying to figure out what's next. Then maybe it's time to embrace that uncertainty, he suggested. His eyes gleaming with encouragement. The crossroads might be daunting. But it's also where transformation happens. Just then, the plane began its descent. A gentle reminder that their journey was coming to an end. The captain's voice came through the intercom, signaling their approach to the destination. Ladies and gentlemen, we are beginning our descent into San Francisco. Please ensure your seatbelts are fastened and your seats are in the upright position, he announced. Claudia felt a pang of disappointment at the thought of leaving this moment behind. Their conversation had sparked something inside her, a fire that she wasn't quite ready to extinguish. She knew she had to grasp onto this newfound perspective. This encouragement to embrace her journey. Before we land, I want to thank you for this conversation, Claudia said, her voice earnest. You've challenged me to think differently. Daniel smiled, his warmth radiating in the small space. I'm glad to hear that. Sometimes all it takes is a different perspective to ignite change. As the plane touched down, Claudia felt a mix of exhilaration and uncertainty. The journey ahead loomed before her like an open road, filled with potential and possibility. The encounter with Daniel had illuminated a path she had yet to explore. She looked over at him, and for a moment, their eyes locked in an unspoken understanding. Whatever happened next, she knew this moment would linger, an anchor in the shifting tides of her life. It was a reminder that she could redefine her journey, not as a flight attendant defined by her role, but as a woman in search of her own fulfillment. As they prepared to disembark, Claudia felt a newfound determination rising within her. She was ready to embrace the crossroads ahead, to carve her own path, and to discover the fulfillment she had been yearning for all along. With one last glance at Daniel, she stepped off the plane, ready to confront whatever awaited her on the ground. The sun hung low in the San Francisco sky, casting a warm golden glow over the bustling terminal as Claudia disembarked. The familiar chaos of the airport greeted her, a symphony of announcements, footsteps, and the clatter of rolling luggage. Yet today felt different. She walked through the terminal with a newfound sense of purpose, her mind still buzzing from her conversation with Daniel. As she navigated through the crowd, Claudia couldn't shake the lingering excitement from their discussion. Daniel had challenged her to embrace her uncertainty, to confront her aspirations head-on. For the first time in a long while, she felt like she was on the cusp of something extraordinary. Once outside, the crisp air filled her lungs, invigorating her spirit. She glanced at her phone, no missed messages, no urgent calls. It was the perfect moment to reflect on her next steps. Claudia had always been driven, but the clarity she felt now was a fresh breeze guiding her forward. Hey, Claudia. Over here. Jenny's cheerful voice broke through her thoughts. Claudia turned to see her colleague waving from across the street, her bright smile radiating warmth. Did you have a good flight? It was enlightening, Claudia replied, unable to suppress a smile. You wouldn't believe the conversation I had with one of the passengers. Enlightening? Huh? Jenny raised an eyebrow, her playful tone evident. Care to share the details? Or is it a top-secret flight attendant thing? Claudia chuckled, her heart light. Let's just say I've been doing some thinking about my path, my purpose. I might just be ready to shake things up a bit. Jenny's eyes sparkled with curiosity. I like the sound of that. Whatever it is, I'm in. As they walked toward the parking lot, Claudia shared snippets of her conversation with Daniel, the insights, the challenges, and the sense of possibility that had sparked within her. Jenny listened intently, nodding along, her enthusiasm infectious. That's incredible, Claudia. It sounds like you're ready to take the leap. Jenny encouraged. Have you thought about what that might look like? I have some ideas, Claudia admitted, her mind racing. Maybe I could start by focusing on improving the passenger experience, really diving deep into what makes their journeys memorable. And perhaps I could look into mentorship programs for new flight attendants, helping them find their own paths. Those sound like fantastic ideas, Jenny exclaimed. You have such a gift for connecting with people. I can totally see you leading those initiatives. Claudia felt a warmth spreading in her chest at Jenny's encouragement. Thanks, Jenny. I want to create an environment where everyone feels empowered to be themselves, to share their ideas. It's time we challenge the status quo. As they reached Claudia's car, a sense of resolve washed over her. She was determined to make a difference, not just for herself but for everyone in her team. She knew that change wouldn't happen overnight, but it had to start somewhere. The next day, Claudia arrived at the Celestial Airlines headquarters with a renewed sense of vigor. The office buzzed with activity. The usual hustle of employees moving through the open space. As she settled at her desk, she pulled out a notebook and began drafting her ideas. The first step was to set up a meeting with the upper management to present her vision for enhancing the passenger experience. She envisioned a program that would not only train new flight attendants but also empower them to be advocates for the brand, individuals who would foster connections with passengers, creating a welcoming and memorable atmosphere. After several hours of refining her proposal, Claudia felt confident enough to approach her supervisor, Sarah. As she knocked on Sarah's door, she took a deep breath to steady her nerves. "Come in," Sarah called, and Claudia stepped inside, clutching her notebook. "Hey, Claudia. What's up?" Sarah smiled, glancing up from her computer. "I've been working on something I'd like to discuss," Claudia began, her voice steady. "I want to propose a new initiative focused on enhancing the passenger experience and empowering our flight attendants." Sarah's interest peaked. "I'm listening. What do you have in mind?" Claudia explained her vision: mentorship programs for new hires, workshops on building genuine connections with passengers, and opportunities for flight attendants to share their insights on improving service. As she spoke, she could see Sarah's enthusiasm growing. "I love it. This is exactly what we need, fresh ideas to keep Celestial at the forefront of the industry," Sarah said, her eyes sparkling with excitement. "I think we should present this to the board. They'll be thrilled to see someone taking the initiative." Claudia felt a rush of validation at Sarah's response. "You really think so?" "Absolutely. Let's set up a meeting for next week. I'll back you up all the way," Sarah assured her. With Sarah's support, Claudia began to feel the pieces coming together. She spent the next few days refining her proposal and preparing for the meeting, gathering data, and researching best practices from other airlines. Each moment of preparation fueled her determination. The day of the presentation arrived, and Claudia walked into the boardroom, her heart racing with a mix of excitement and nerves. The board members were already seated, their expressions a mix of curiosity and expectation. "Thank you for being here today," Claudia began, her voice strong as she faced the room. "I'm excited to share a vision that I believe will elevate our service and empower our team." As she unveiled her proposal, Claudia spoke with passion, sharing her insights and the potential impact of the mentorship program. She highlighted the importance of fostering a culture of connection, where flight attendants could thrive and passengers could feel valued. After her presentation, Claudia felt a wave of relief wash over her. The board members exchanged glances, nodding along as they absorbed her ideas. Sarah leaned forward, her expression encouraging. "I believe we have a great opportunity to not only improve our service but to set a new standard in the industry," Claudia concluded, her voice filled with conviction. The room fell silent for a moment, and then the board chair, Mr. Thompson, spoke up. "Claudia, this is an impressive proposal. Your passion and commitment to both our passengers and our crew are evident. I believe we should move forward with this initiative." Cheers of agreement followed from the other board members, and Claudia's heart soared. She had done it. She had taken the first step toward shaping a brighter future for Celestial Airlines. As she left the meeting, the weight of anticipation lingered in the air. Claudia knew this was just the beginning. With each step she took, she felt herself drawing closer to her dreams, ready to embrace the challenges and the triumphs that lay ahead. Walking through the terminal that evening, she felt a sense of purpose coursing through her veins. The journey she had started was taking shape, and with every small step, she was redefining what it meant to be a part of Celestial Airlines. As the sun set over the city, casting a golden hue over the horizon, Claudia glanced toward the sky, feeling the pull of new horizons waiting just beyond the clouds. With determination in her heart, she knew she was ready to soar. The weeks following Claudia's presentation flew by in a whirlwind of activity. The board had enthusiastically approved her mentorship initiative, and she was eager to see her ideas come to life. As the newly appointed head of the program, Claudia felt both exhilarated and anxious about the responsibilities that lay ahead. Her first task was to gather a team that would help her design the framework for the mentorship program. She wanted a diverse group, experienced flight attendants who could share their wisdom, newer employees with fresh perspectives, and representatives from different departments to ensure a comprehensive approach. Claudia understood that collaboration would be essential for the program's success. On a crisp Tuesday morning, Claudia stood in the conference room, her heart racing with anticipation as she prepared to introduce the team. The large glass windows offered a panoramic view of the bustling airport below. But today, her focus was entirely on the people who would join her in this endeavor. "Thank you all for coming," she began, her voice steady yet filled with excitement. I'm thrilled to have each of you here as we embark on this journey together. Our goal is to create a mentorship program that not only enhances our service but also empowers our flight attendants to grow and thrive in their careers. As she spoke, she saw nods of agreement and eagerness on the faces around the table. Jenny, sitting near the front, grinned widely, her enthusiasm contagious. I can't wait to get started. Claudia, this is such a fantastic opportunity for everyone. Claudia smiled back, feeling a surge of confidence. Exactly. I want this to be a collaborative effort. So let's brainstorm ideas and discuss what we believe would make this program impactful. With that, the room buzzed with energy as ideas began to flow. They discussed various components, training workshops, one-on-one mentorship pairings, and creating an online platform where mentors and ments could connect and share resources. Claudia felt a rush of inspiration as the team engaged in lively discussions, each member contributing their unique insights. As the meeting wrapped up, Claudia looked around the room, feeling a deep sense of gratitude. I'm so excited to work alongside each of you. Let's reconvene next week to finalize our plan and start rolling it out. With newfound purpose, Claudia dove headfirst into the logistics. She collaborated with the HR department to establish criteria for mentors and ments, ensuring that the program would match individuals based on their goals, experiences, and interests. The team worked late nights, fueled by enthusiasm and caffeine, transforming their vision into a tangible blueprint. As the program neared its launch date, Claudia organized a kickoff event to introduce the mentorship initiative to the entire staff. She wanted everyone to understand its significance and to feel motivated to participate. The day before the event, she stood in front of the large screen in the conference room, rehearsing her speech. Tomorrow is a big day, she told herself, taking a deep breath. This is going to make a difference. The morning of the kickoff arrived, and Claudia felt a mixture of excitement and nerves as she entered the bustling terminal filled with flight attendants, pilots, and staff from various departments. Banners welcoming the mentorship initiative decorated the walls, and the energy in the air was palpable. As she stepped onto the stage, Claudia looked out at the crowd. Faces filled with anticipation greeted her. Thank you all for being here today. I'm thrilled to introduce our new mentorship program. A chance for us to come together, learn from one another, and build a stronger community at Celestial Airlines. The room erupted in applause, and Claudia felt a rush of warmth wash over her. She continued, sharing the program's goals and emphasizing the importance of mentorship in fostering personal and professional growth. Every one of us has something valuable to offer, and through this program, we'll unlock new possibilities for each other. After her speech, Claudia encouraged everyone to sign up as either mentors or ments, providing refreshments and creating an informal atmosphere for people to mingle and share their thoughts. The buzz of conversation filled the room as colleagues connected, exchanging stories and laughter. As she moved through the crowd, Claudia couldn't help but smile at the camaraderie forming around her. She spotted Jenny engaged in a passionate discussion with a group of new flight attendants, her animated gestures drawing laughter and curiosity. Claudia, Jenny called, waving her over. You have to meet these amazing new hires. They're full of ideas and so eager to learn. Claudia approached the group, her heart swelling with pride at the sight of her colleagues engaged and excited. She introduced herself to the new hires, eager to hear their thoughts on the mentorship program. I think it's such a great idea, one of the young attendants, Maya, exclaimed. Having someone experienced to guide us will make all the difference. Claudia felt a sense of purpose in their enthusiasm. That's exactly the spirit we need. Each of you brings a unique perspective, and I can't wait to see how you all contribute to our community. As the event continued, Claudia was filled with a sense of accomplishment. This program wasn't just a professional initiative, it was a movement toward a more inclusive and supportive culture within Celestial Airlines. That evening, Claudia returned home, her heart light with hope and excitement for the future. She reflected on how far she had come, from a flight attendant struggling to find her place to a leader shaping the trajectory of the airline. With a renewed sense of purpose, she prepared to dive into the next phase of the program, eager to nurture the connections being forged and to watch as her vision unfolded before her eyes. As she closed her eyes that night, Claudia felt a sense of peace wash over her. She knew challenges lay ahead, but she was ready to embrace them, fueled by the support of her team and the desire to create a lasting legacy at Celestial Airlines. The journey had only just begun, and she was excited to see where it would lead her next. The weeks following the launch of the mentorship program were a whirlwind of excitement and engagement. Claudia had never felt more alive. watching her colleagues connect and flourish under the initiative she had envisioned. Every meeting, every interaction, reinforced her belief that Celestial Airlines was destined for greatness. Not just in service, but in fostering a community where everyone could thrive. Yet, amid the enthusiasm, Claudia remained acutely aware that every new initiative came with its challenges. As the program gained traction, she received feedback from a few mentors and ments expressing concerns about its effectiveness. Some felt overwhelmed by the commitments, while others struggled to connect with their assigned partners. One afternoon, while reviewing program evaluations, Claudia noticed a troubling pattern. Several ments had reported feeling unsupported and adrift, unsure of how to navigate their roles in the program. This wasn't the empowering experience she had envisioned. Determined to address these issues head-on, Claudia called an emergency meeting with her core team. As they gathered in the conference room, she felt the weight of responsibility on her shoulders. "Thank you all for coming on such short notice," she began, her tone serious yet resolute. "I've noticed some feedback that raises concerns about the mentorship program. We need to address these issues before they escalate." Jenny, ever the supportive voice, leaned forward, concern etched on her face. "I've heard similar things from some of the new hires. It seems like a few are feeling lost or unsure about how to make the most of the program." Claudia nodded. "Exactly. We need to ensure that everyone involved has the tools and support they need to succeed. I want to create a more structured approach, one that encourages meaningful connections and clarifies expectations." The team engaged in a spirited discussion, tossing around ideas for improving the program. They considered adding more resources, such as workshops on effective communication and goal setting. The thought of implementing a buddy system, where more experienced mentors could help guide newcomers, also emerged as a potential solution. As they brainstormed, Claudia felt a renewed sense of purpose. "Let's also create feedback loops," she suggested. "Regular check-ins will allow us to address concerns promptly and adjust as needed. It's vital that everyone feels heard and supported." With the plan taking shape, the team left the meeting buzzing with renewed energy. Claudia felt a surge of determination. She would not let the initial hurdles deter her from her vision. The following week, they launched the first of the new initiatives, a workshop series designed to equip mentors and ments with practical skills and insights. Claudia led the first session herself, focusing on effective communication and relationship building. As she stood in front of the room, the excitement palpable, Claudia was reminded of her own journey, the challenges she had faced and the mentors who had guided her along the way. "Today, we're going to explore how to make your mentorship experience as rewarding as possible," she said, her voice steady and inviting. "Every relationship is a two-way street, and it's essential that both parties feel comfortable sharing their needs and expectations." Throughout the session, the participants engaged enthusiastically, sharing their experiences and asking thoughtful questions. The energy in the room was infectious, and Claudia felt a renewed sense of hope as she witnessed her colleagues embracing the opportunity to learn and grow together. After the workshop, she held an open forum for attendees to share their thoughts. To her delight, many participants expressed gratitude for the changes being implemented, excited about the new resources available to them. "I feel like I finally have the tools I need to make the most of my mentorship," one mentee said, her eyes shining with enthusiasm. As the weeks rolled on, the adjustments Claudia had put into place began to bear fruit. Feedback from the mentorship program started to shift positively. Participants felt more connected, more engaged, and the sense of community deepened. But just as things seemed to be turning a corner, an unforeseen challenge arose. Claudia was called into a meeting with the board of directors, a rare occurrence that immediately set her on edge. As she entered the boardroom, a sense of unease settled in her stomach. "Thank you for joining us," Claudia, the chairperson, Ms. Sinclair, said, her tone unusually grave. "We need to discuss the recent budget reviews." Claudia's heart raced. The financial landscape of the airline had been shifting, and she had heard whispers of potential cutbacks. "Of course," she replied, steeling herself for the conversation. Ms. Sinclair continued, "While your mentorship program has received positive feedback, we're facing significant financial pressure. The board is considering cuts across several departments, including training and development." Claudia felt the air leave her lungs. "Cuts? But the mentorship program is vital for our growth and development," she argued, feeling a wave of frustration rise within her. "We need to invest in our employees if we want to see a return in morale and performance." "I understand your passion, Claudia," Ms. Sinclair said, her expression unyielding. "However, we have to prioritize our financial stability. The board is looking for suggestions on how to reduce costs without compromising service. As the meeting continued, Claudia struggled to focus on the conversation. The stakes felt impossibly high. If the mentorship program were cut, everything she had worked for would be in jeopardy. The passion and commitment she had witnessed among her colleagues would suffer. And she couldn't let that happen. After the meeting, Claudia gathered her thoughts. Determined to fight for what she believed in. She needed a strategy, something compelling that could demonstrate the program's value to the board. That evening, she worked late into the night, poring over data, testimonials, and the positive impacts the mentorship program had already made within Celestial Airlines. She compiled success stories, highlighting how the program had improved morale, reduced turnover, and fostered a sense of belonging among employees. By morning, Claudia had crafted a presentation she believed could sway the board's decision. She was fueled by her desire to protect the culture they had built and the futures of her colleagues. With a clear vision and undeniable evidence in hand, she walked into the boardroom ready to fight for her program. As she presented, she could feel the tension in the room. But as she shared the heartfelt testimonials and solid data, Claudia noticed the board members leaning in, their expressions shifting from skepticism to curiosity. Investing in our people is investing in the future of Celestial Airlines, she concluded, her voice steady with conviction. Cutting the mentorship program would not only undermine our commitment to our staff but could ultimately impact our bottom line. We need to prioritize growth and development now more than ever. The board deliberated, and Claudia held her breath, hoping her efforts would resonate with them. After what felt like an eternity, Ms. Sinclair addressed the room. We appreciate Claudia's passion and commitment. I propose we postpone any decisions on cuts for the mentorship program until we can assess its long-term impacts more thoroughly. A wave of relief washed over Claudia. She had done it, she had fought for her vision and secured a future for the program. As she left the boardroom, Claudia felt invigorated. Challenges would come, but she was ready to face them. The mentorship program was more than an initiative, it was a lifeline, connecting individuals and empowering them to reach their full potential. And Claudia knew that as long as she fought for that vision, Celestial Airlines would continue to soar. The dawn of a new day broke over Celestial Airlines, painting the sky in hues of orange and pink, a fitting backdrop for the fresh challenges and opportunities that lay ahead. Claudia arrived at the headquarters early, fueled by her recent victory at the board meeting. The mentorship program was safe for now, but she knew that maintaining momentum would require constant effort and innovation. As she walked through the bustling terminal, the energy was palpable. Employees greeted her with smiles, and Claudia felt the camaraderie in the air. Her heart swelled with pride. She was not just leading an airline, she was nurturing a community. With the mentorship program thriving, she was determined to find ways to further enhance employee engagement and morale. Sitting at her desk, Claudia reviewed the latest updates on the mentorship program. The feedback from the recent workshops had been overwhelmingly positive, but she sensed there was still more to accomplish. She envisioned hosting a quarterly summit where mentors and ments could come together, share experiences, and foster a stronger sense of connection. Just then, her assistant, Janet, popped her head in. Claudia, you have a visitor. Curious. Claudia looked up. Who is it? It's Mr. Daniel Roberts, Janet said, a hint of excitement in her voice. Claudia's heart raced at the mention of her former mentor. Ever since he had stepped down as CEO, she hadn't had the chance to catch up with him. Send him in, she replied, brushing off any remnants of nervousness. As Daniel entered the room, his warm smile immediately put her at ease. Claudia, it's good to see you, he said, his presence exuding confidence and familiarity. Likewise, Daniel. It's been too long. How have you been? She asked, genuine curiosity lighting her eyes. Busy, but in a good way. I've been reflecting on my time at Celestial and how proud I am of everything you've accomplished. The mentorship program sounds like a great success. Claudia beamed at his praise. Thank you. It's been a rewarding journey. I want to keep pushing it further. Though, I've been thinking about hosting a quarterly summit to bring everyone together, mentors and ments alike. I love that idea, Daniel replied, nodding thoughtfully. Fostering those relationships is crucial for long-term success. Have you considered the format? Claudia leaned forward, excited to share her vision. I want to create an environment where people can share their experiences, ask questions, and learn from one another. We could have guest speakers, workshops, and even breakout sessions where they can dive deep into specific topics. Sounds ambitious, but that's what it takes to truly engage people. I'd be happy to help you plan it, Daniel offered, his enthusiasm infectious. Really? That would be amazing, Claudia exclaimed, grateful for his support. As they discussed the summit, Claudia felt a spark of inspiration. She and Daniel reminisced about their time working together, the challenges they had faced, and the triumphs that had come from their collaboration. It was a reminder of how far she had come and how much she had grown under his mentorship. Just then, the atmosphere shifted as Claudia's phone buzzed on the desk, breaking the moment. She glanced at the screen and frowned. It was a message from one of the heads of marketing, expressing concern over recent feedback about the company's brand perception. "What's wrong?" Daniel asked, sensing her sudden change in demeanor. "It seems there are growing concerns about how Celestial is perceived in the market. Some customers feel that while we've made strides in sustainability, we're not communicating our brand values effectively. I need to address this before it escalates," Claudia replied, her mind racing with ideas. Daniel raised an eyebrow, intrigued. "How do you plan to tackle it?" "I think we need a fresh marketing campaign that clearly communicates our commitment to sustainability, community, and the luxurious experience we offer. I want to highlight not just what we do, but why we do it," she explained, her passion evident. "That's a solid plan. Let's brainstorm some ideas together. You know the airline inside and out, and I still have connections with some of the top marketing firms. We can put together a pitch that showcases your vision," Daniel suggested, his enthusiasm reigniting Claudia's determination. "Let's do it. I want to get moving on this as soon as possible," she replied, her heart racing with excitement. As they began brainstorming, ideas flowed effortlessly between them. They envisioned a campaign that not only highlighted Celestial's luxurious services but also illustrated how the airline was making a positive impact on the environment and the communities it served. Suddenly, the door swung open, and Jenny entered, her eyes wide with curiosity. "Am I interrupting?" "Not at all. We're brainstorming ideas for a new marketing campaign," Claudia said, motioning for her to join. "Count me in," Jenny exclaimed, pulling up a chair. The three of them dove into a flurry of ideas, jotting down concepts and potential taglines. Laughter filled the room as they crafted slogans that captured the essence of what Celestial stood for. They played with visuals, discussing how to portray both the elegance of the airline and its commitment to sustainability. Hours slipped by unnoticed as they shared anecdotes and inspired one another. Finally, they settled on a powerful tagline: "Celestial Airlines, where every journey elevates life." "I love it. It captures the essence of what we aim to achieve," Claudia said, a smile spreading across her face. "Let's take it to the marketing team and see what they think," Jenny suggested, her enthusiasm palpable. With a renewed sense of purpose, Claudia felt the excitement building within her. The synergy of the brainstorming session had sparked new ideas, and the campaign could be the catalyst for further change. As they prepared to present their concepts to the marketing department, Claudia felt a surge of optimism. They were on the cusp of something significant, a chance to redefine Celestial Airlines in the eyes of their customers and the industry. But even as she embraced this newfound momentum, Claudia couldn't shake the feeling that there would be unforeseen obstacles ahead. The airline industry was ever evolving, and with every success came new challenges. Yet, armed with a supportive team and the lessons she had learned along the way, she was ready to face whatever lay ahead. Together, they stepped into the future, confident, prepared, and united in their vision to elevate Celestial Airlines to new heights. The day of the marketing campaign launch had finally arrived, and the atmosphere at Celestial Airlines was electric. Claudia stood in the spacious conference room, her heart racing with anticipation as she adjusted her crisp blazer and took a deep breath. It was a pivotal moment not just for her but for the entire company, a chance to redefine their brand and showcase their commitment to sustainability and luxury travel. As the clock ticked closer to the meeting's start, the room began to fill with executives, department heads, and key marketing personnel, all buzzing with excitement. Claudia exchanged nods and smiles, but beneath her calm exterior, she felt the weight of expectations resting on her shoulders. She had worked tirelessly to craft a message that would resonate with their audience and rejuvenate the airline's image. "Are you ready?" Janet, her assistant, whispered as she stood by the door, holding a stack of presentation materials. "More than ready," Claudia replied, her voice steady. "Let's show them what we've got." The lights dimmed, and the room fell silent. Claudia stepped to the front, her pulse quickening as she looked out at the eager faces before her. "Good morning, everyone. Thank you all for being here today. I'm excited to unveil our new marketing campaign, Celestial Airlines, where every journey elevates life." Applause erupted in the room, fueling Claudia's confidence. She smiled, grateful for the support of her colleagues. This campaign is not just about the luxury travel experience we offer, it's about our commitment to making a positive impact on our planet and our communities. She clicked the remote, and the screen behind her lit up with vibrant images of passengers enjoying their journeys, eco-friendly initiatives in action, and community outreach programs. Our passengers deserve to feel valued, not just as customers but as partners in this journey. We are committed to sustainability, innovation, and the luxurious experience that Celestial is known for. As she spoke, Claudia felt the energy in the room shift. Executives nodded along, clearly engaged, and the excitement of the team was palpable. She moved seamlessly through the presentation, outlining the key elements of the campaign: social media outreach, interactive passenger engagement, and collaborations with influencers who shared their values. And the best part, Claudia continued, we will be launching the campaign at a high-profile event next month, where we will showcase our new fleet of eco-friendly aircraft and demonstrate our commitment to responsible travel. The audience erupted in enthusiastic applause again, and Claudia could see the spark of inspiration igniting in her colleagues. She felt a swell of pride. This was more than a campaign, it was a movement toward change. After the presentation, the room buzzed with discussion. Claudia encouraged feedback and ideas, and she was thrilled to see the team brainstorming ways to implement the campaign effectively. They shared thoughts on community engagement, creative content ideas, and potential partnerships that could amplify their message. As the meeting drew to a close, Daniel stood up, a proud smile on his face. I want to take a moment to commend Claudia for her vision and hard work. This campaign is a testament to what can happen when we embrace innovation and collaboration. I'm excited to see where this leads us. Claudia felt her cheeks flush with warmth at the recognition. Thank you, Daniel. But this is truly a team effort. I couldn't have done it without the support of all of you. As the attendees filtered out of the room, Claudia felt a wave of relief wash over her. They had successfully presented their ideas, and the energy in the room had been infectious. But she knew that this was just the beginning. The real work lay ahead in executing the campaign and ensuring that it resonated with their audience. That evening, Claudia gathered her team in a celebratory mood. They ordered takeout and filled the conference room with laughter and camaraderie. As they shared stories and ideas over their meal, Claudia couldn't help but feel grateful for the bond they had built. Each person brought something unique to the table, and together, they were shaping a brighter future for Celestial Airlines. All right, everyone, Claudia said, raising her glass in a toast. To new beginnings and to the amazing journey ahead. To new beginnings, they echoed, glasses clinking together. Later that night, as Claudia prepared to leave the office, she reflected on how far she had come since her first days as a flight attendant. The challenges she faced had shaped her, and she realized that her journey was not just about professional success but about creating a legacy that intertwined with her values of empathy, sustainability, and innovation. As she stepped outside, the crisp night air filled her lungs, and she looked up at the stars twinkling overhead. There was a certain magic in the air, a reminder that anything was possible if she dared to dream big. The launch of the campaign was just the beginning. Claudia felt invigorated, ready to face the challenges ahead and continue elevating Celestial Airlines to new heights. With each step she took, she embraced the future, knowing that her journey was far from over, and that the sky was not the limit, it was just the beginning. As the weeks passed following the launch of the marketing campaign, Claudia felt a surge of energy coursing through Celestial Airlines. The buzz around the new initiatives was palpable, with social media engagement skyrocketing and passengers expressing their excitement for the airline's commitment to sustainability. It was a time of optimism and promise. But Claudia knew that the true test of their efforts lay ahead. One rainy Tuesday morning, Claudia sat at her desk, reviewing feedback from the campaign's initial rollout. As she scrolled through the reports, a nagging thought lingered in the back of her mind: what if they had overpromised? The airline's reputation for luxury was built on years of consistent service, and any slip-up could jeopardize the delicate balance they were trying to maintain. Just then, her assistant, Janet, knocked on the door and stepped inside. A look of concern etched across her face. Claudia, we have a situation. I think you need to see this. The urgency in Janet's voice sent a ripple of anxiety through Claudia. What's happened? Janet handed her a tablet displaying a social media post that was rapidly going viral. The screen showed a disgruntled passenger, a well-known travel influencer, sitting in a Celestial Airlines lounge, visibly upset. This is going to explode if we don't act quickly, Janet warned. He claims that the lounge service was subpar and that he was treated rudely by one of our staff members. Claudia's heart sank as she read the post, filled with harsh critiques and implications that the airline was not living up to its newly minted brand promise. What did the team say? Claudia asked, her mind racing with possible solutions. Public relations is drafting a response. But they need your input. They want to know if we should offer him compensation or a public apology. Janet replied, glancing anxiously at the screen. Claudia's instinct was to address the situation head-on. We need to respond immediately. Reach out to him. Invite him for a personal tour of the lounge. And ensure he meets with our head of service to discuss his experience. If he felt disrespected, we must show him that we value our passengers and are committed to making things right. Janet nodded, quickly typing out the details. Claudia felt a rush of adrenaline. This was a challenge. But she was determined to turn it into an opportunity. As they finalized the message, Claudia considered the implications of this incident. It was not just about damage control, it was a chance to demonstrate their commitment to the values they had been promoting. As the day progressed, Claudia and her team worked diligently to manage the situation. They created a detailed plan that included a personalized outreach to the influencer, a comprehensive review of the lounge staff training, and a public statement reaffirming their dedication to service excellence. By mid-afternoon, the influencer agreed to meet with them at the lounge. Claudia felt a mixture of anticipation and nerves as she prepared to face the man whose words could sway public opinion. She knew that first impressions mattered, and this meeting could determine how they were perceived moving forward. When the time came, Claudia greeted the influencer, whose real name was Jake, with a warm smile. Thank you for meeting with us, Jake. We truly appreciate the opportunity to discuss your experience. Jake offered a tight smile, his demeanor still guarded. I just want to see if you're willing to listen. Claudia nodded, leading him through the lounge, showcasing the features they had highlighted in their recent campaign. We want to ensure our lounges provide not just comfort but an experience that aligns with our brand values. Can you share what specifically didn't meet your expectations? As they walked, Jake's tone softened slightly. The lounge was nice, but the staff was overwhelmed. I felt like I was an inconvenience, not a guest. And when I raised my concerns, I didn't feel heard. Claudia listened intently, taking mental notes. Thank you for being honest with me. That's not the experience we want any of our passengers to have. We're committed to addressing this and ensuring our staff has the resources they need to provide the best service possible. They sat down at a private table in the lounge, where Claudia presented their action plan to improve staff training and operational efficiency. As she spoke, she could see Jake's demeanor shifting. He began to engage with her, asking questions and sharing his insights on what passengers truly valued. I appreciate you taking the time to address this, he said, his tone softening. It's clear that you care about improving the experience. Claudia felt a sense of relief wash over her. It's essential to us, Jake. We want every passenger to feel valued and appreciated. And your feedback is invaluable in helping us achieve that. As their conversation continued, Claudia realized that this encounter was transforming into something positive. Jake shared his experiences as a frequent traveler and provided suggestions that could enhance the overall passenger experience. They discussed the importance of personalized service and how it could set Celestial apart in a crowded market. When the meeting concluded, Jake thanked Claudia for her openness and willingness to listen. I'll share my thoughts in a follow-up post. And I think I'll mention the changes you're implementing. It sounds like you're serious about making improvements. As he left the lounge, Claudia felt a surge of pride. They had turned a potential disaster into an opportunity for growth and learning. She quickly relayed the positive outcome to her team, who celebrated the turnaround with cheers and high fives. Later that evening, as Claudia reflected on the day, she realized that every challenge brought with it a chance for growth. The incident with Jake had tested her leadership but had also strengthened her resolve to uphold the values they had worked so hard to promote. As the sun set behind the city skyline, Claudia felt a renewed sense of purpose. The journey ahead would undoubtedly be filled with more challenges. But with each one, she was more prepared to lead Celestial Airlines into a future defined by innovation, responsibility, and unwavering commitment to excellence. The next few weeks flew by in a whirlwind of activity and anticipation. The positive momentum generated by the influencer's endorsement sparked a renewed interest in Celestial Airlines. And Claudia felt the weight of her new responsibilities as CEO pressing upon her. The company was at a crucial juncture, with expectations soaring high. But so were the stakes. One crisp morning, as Claudia arrived at the office, she was greeted by a team of executives gathered in the conference room. The atmosphere was charged with excitement and urgency. Janet handed Claudia a stack of reports, her eyes wide with enthusiasm. "You're going to want to see this," she said, leading Claudia to the meeting. As they entered, Claudia was met with a round of applause from her team. The mood was infectious, and she couldn't help but smile. "What's the occasion?" she asked, genuinely curious. Daniel stood at the front, his expression proud. "Claudia, we just received the results from our latest customer satisfaction survey. The feedback has been overwhelmingly positive." Claudia's heart raced as she scanned the reports, her eyes widening at the numbers. They were better than she had hoped. Ratings for lounge service, in-flight experiences, and overall satisfaction had all surged significantly. "This is incredible. What do you think is driving these improvements?" she asked, her excitement palpable. One of the marketing executives chimed in. "It seems the combined effect of the influencers' feedback and the new initiatives has resonated with our customers. They're noticing the changes, and they're excited about our commitment to sustainability." Claudia felt a surge of pride at her team's hard work and dedication. "This is a testament to what we can achieve together. Let's continue to build on this momentum and find ways to further enhance our passenger experience." As the meeting progressed, they brainstormed ideas for leveraging the positive feedback in their marketing strategy. Claudia suggested a campaign that highlighted real passenger stories, showcasing how Celestial Airlines was making a difference in their travel experiences. "Let's put faces to our initiatives," she said, "and invite our passengers to share their journeys with us." The team rallied around the idea, and plans began to take shape. They envisioned a series of videos and testimonials that would not only showcase the airline services but also highlight the personal connections formed during travel. Claudia's heart swelled with excitement as they outlined the campaign, and she felt more certain than ever that Celestial Airlines was on the right path. However, just as things seemed to be falling into place, an unexpected challenge emerged. During the following week, Claudia received an urgent message from Daniel about a meeting with the board of directors. There were whispers of a merger with a larger airline that could significantly alter Celestial's future. As Claudia walked into the boardroom, she felt a mix of apprehension and determination. The room was filled with the company's top executives, and the tension was palpable. Daniel opened the meeting, presenting the proposal for the merger. "This partnership could provide us with the resources and network we need to expand our reach and enhance our services." Claudia listened intently as discussions unfolded. While the idea had its merits, she couldn't shake the feeling that merging with a larger entity might compromise the core values they had worked so hard to establish. "We need to consider what this means for our brand," she interjected, her voice steady. "We've built something unique at Celestial. Something that stands for innovation, sustainability, and exceptional service. We must ensure that any partnership aligns with those values." The room fell silent as her colleagues considered her words. Daniel nodded in agreement, encouraging further dialogue. Claudia raises an important point. "We have to ask ourselves if this merger will truly benefit our passengers or if it will dilute the identity we've created." As the debate continued, Claudia felt a wave of resolve wash over her. She realized this was a turning point, not just for the company but for her as a leader. If they moved forward with the merger, she wanted to ensure that their values remained at the forefront of every decision. In the weeks that followed, Claudia led a team to evaluate the potential merger. They conducted extensive research, exploring how similar companies had navigated such transitions. Claudia organized focus groups with employees to gather their insights and concerns, making it clear that their voices mattered in shaping the future of the airline. The more they delved into the details, the more Claudia realized the importance of maintaining Celestial's identity. As discussions with the larger airline continued, she crafted a proposal outlining key principles that should guide the merger: a commitment to sustainability, preserving the unique customer experience, and maintaining the company's culture. Finally, the day came when Claudia presented her findings to the board. She stood confidently before her colleagues, the weight of her vision resting on her shoulders. "We have an opportunity to grow, but we must do so in a way that honors our mission," she began, her voice clear and compelling. "This merger can only succeed if we prioritize our values and ensure that our passengers remain at the heart of every decision we make." The room buzzed with discussion as Claudia shared her proposal. Her passion and conviction were infectious, and she could see her colleagues beginning to rally around her vision. When the discussions finally concluded, the board voted in favor of pursuing the merger under the principles she had outlined. As Claudia left the boardroom, a sense of relief washed over her. They had taken a step toward growth while ensuring that Celestial Airlines remained true to its core values. She couldn't help but feel a renewed sense of purpose as she envisioned the future of the airline, one that embraced innovation without losing sight of the very essence that made them unique. That evening, as Claudia reflected on the day, she felt an overwhelming sense of gratitude. She had faced her doubts and fears, and in doing so, she had carved a path that honored the legacy of Celestial Airlines. With each challenge she encountered, she grew stronger and more determined to lead with integrity. As she settled in for the night, Claudia knew that the journey was far from over. She was ready to embrace whatever lay ahead, confident that she could navigate the future and inspire others to reach new heights alongside her. The following weeks after the board's decision to move forward with the merger were a blur of activity for Claudia. As she sat in her office, surrounded by notes and proposals, the excitement of the potential growth mingled with the anxiety of ensuring that Celestial's identity remained intact. The merger discussions had gained momentum, and she found herself in constant meetings, strategizing how to integrate the two companies seamlessly. One morning, Claudia received an email from Daniel that made her pulse quicken. He wanted her to join him for a breakfast meeting at the Rosewood Cafe, a stylish restaurant that had quickly become a favorite among Celestial executives. She felt a sense of anticipation as she prepared for the meeting, wondering what news he would share. As she arrived at the cafe, the rich aroma of freshly brewed coffee filled the air, mixing with the sounds of morning chatter. Daniel was already seated at a cozy corner table, looking over a report. He looked up as she approached, his expression warm and welcoming. "Claudia. Good morning. I'm glad you could make it." "Good morning, Daniel. What's on the agenda today?" she asked, settling into her seat across from him. "I wanted to discuss our progress with the merger and the potential changes to our brand identity," he replied, gesturing for a waiter to take their orders. "We need to ensure that we're aligned on our vision moving forward." Claudia nodded, her mind racing with ideas. "Absolutely. I've been thinking about how we can present a united front that highlights both our commitment to luxury and sustainability. It's crucial that we show our passengers that this merger is a chance for growth without compromising our core values." Daniel smiled, clearly impressed. "I appreciate your insights. I think we should organize a joint team of marketing and branding experts from both companies to craft a strategy that resonates with our audience." "Great idea," Claudia replied, feeling a surge of excitement. "We could create a campaign that not only highlights our expanded services but also reinforces our commitment to the community and the environment. This merger could be an opportunity to redefine what luxury air travel means." As they brainstormed, Claudia's enthusiasm grew. They discussed everything from potential ad campaigns to community engagement initiatives, and Daniel seemed genuinely impressed by her vision. "You have a knack for this, Claudia," he said, leaning back in his chair. "Your ability to think beyond the immediate details is what sets you apart as a leader." The conversation flowed seamlessly, and they both felt invigorated by the shared vision. After they finished breakfast, Daniel had one more item on his agenda. "I'd like you to represent Celestial at an upcoming industry conference," he said, his tone serious. "It's a significant event, and your insights on the merger and our sustainability initiatives would be invaluable." Claudia's heart raced at the prospect. "Of course. I'd be honored. When is it?" "It's in 2 weeks," Daniel replied. "I believe this is a chance for you to showcase what Celestial stands for and how we're adapting to the future. It's also an opportunity to network with other industry leaders who are eager to learn from our success." "Sounds amazing. I'll prepare thoroughly," Claudia responded, feeling a mix of excitement and nerves. This was her moment to shine, to represent not just herself but the entire airline. As the days progressed, Claudia dove headfirst into her preparations for the conference. She meticulously crafted her presentation, weaving in stories from her journey and highlighting the positive impact of the merger on both employees and passengers. She wanted to ensure that everyone understood the vision behind the changes Celestial was implementing. The night before the conference, Claudia found herself unable to sleep. The weight of expectation hung over her, and she replayed her presentation in her mind. What if she stumbled over her words? What if she failed to convey the passion she felt for the company? Each doubt flickered in her mind like a shadow, but she quickly brushed them away, reminding herself of the hard work that had led her here. On the day of the conference, Claudia arrived early at the venue, a sleek convention center bustling with industry professionals. The energy in the air was electric, and she could feel the anticipation building as attendees gathered. She took a deep breath, centered herself, and focused on the message she wanted to deliver. As she stepped onto the stage, the lights dimmed, and she was met with a sea of faces, some familiar, many not. She felt a rush of adrenaline as she began her presentation. sharing Celestial's journey and vision for the future. With every word, she painted a picture of a company that was not only committed to luxury travel but also dedicated to sustainability and community engagement. The audience leaned in, captivated by her story. Claudia shared insights about the merger, how it would enable Celestial to expand its services while enhancing its core values. "This is not just about growth, it's about creating a legacy," she said passionately. "A legacy that respects our planet and elevates the experience of every passenger." As she wrapped up her presentation, the room erupted in applause. Claudia felt a wave of relief wash over her. She had done it. The validation from the audience filled her with a sense of purpose, reminding her of why she had taken on this role in the first place. After the presentation, she found herself surrounded by industry leaders eager to discuss potential collaborations and partnerships. The conversations flowed, each connection deepening her understanding of the challenges and opportunities that lay ahead. Later that evening, as the conference concluded, Claudia felt a sense of fulfillment that transcended her initial nerves. She had not only represented Celestial Airlines but had also helped shape its narrative as a leader in both luxury and sustainability. The experience ignited a spark within her, propelling her toward new horizons. As she walked back to her hotel, the city lights twinkling against the night sky, Claudia reflected on the journey that had brought her here. She felt a profound gratitude for the challenges she had faced, the mentors who had guided her, and the team that had rallied behind her vision. But as she settled into bed, exhaustion creeping in, a new thought began to stir within her. What if there was a way to push even further? To not just lead Celestial but to transform the entire industry's approach to travel? The possibilities were endless, and the fire of ambition burned brightly in her chest. She closed her eyes, letting the excitement of the future wash over her, ready to embrace whatever came next. The weeks following the conference felt like a whirlwind for Claudia. Her successful presentation had not only solidified her position as a thought leader in the airline industry but had also ignited a series of initiatives that would reshape Celestial Airlines' approach to sustainability and customer experience. The momentum was palpable, and Claudia felt a renewed sense of purpose as she navigated the challenges ahead. One afternoon, as Claudia settled into her office, she noticed a message pop up on her screen. It was from Daniel, requesting a meeting to discuss the next phase of their sustainability initiatives. Her heart raced at the prospect of collaborating with him again. She had come to appreciate his insights and the way he valued her contributions. As she entered his office, the atmosphere was charged with anticipation. Daniel was reviewing a series of reports, and he looked up, a glint of excitement in his eyes. "Claudia, great to see you. I've been going through the feedback from your presentation and the subsequent discussions we had at the conference. There's a lot of interest in what Celestial is doing, and I think we have a unique opportunity to leverage that momentum." Claudia nodded, eager to hear more. "What do you have in mind?" "We should launch a national campaign to showcase our commitment to sustainability, highlighting the tangible steps we're taking to reduce our carbon footprint," he proposed, leaning forward in his chair. "This isn't just about Celestial, it's about setting a standard for the industry. If we can galvanize public support, it will help push our initiatives even further." "I love that idea," Claudia responded, feeling a spark of inspiration. "We could create a series of engaging content pieces, videos, social media posts, and even community events that showcase how our sustainability efforts impact passengers and the environment." "Exactly. We need to make it personal and relatable," Daniel agreed. "Let's involve our passengers in the conversation. We could encourage them to share their own stories about how they're contributing to sustainability while traveling." Over the next few days, Claudia and Daniel worked tirelessly to flesh out the campaign. They brainstormed ideas for a tagline that encapsulated their vision, and after several discussions, they landed on "Fly with Purpose." It felt dynamic and aligned perfectly with Celestial's mission. As the campaign took shape, Claudia organized a meeting with the marketing team to ensure everyone was on board. They gathered in the sleek conference room, sunlight streaming through the floor-to-ceiling windows. Claudia stood at the front, her heart pounding with excitement as she unveiled the campaign concept. "Thank you all for being here," she began, her voice steady but filled with enthusiasm. "Today, we're launching a campaign that not only highlights our commitment to sustainability but also invites our passengers to be part of this journey. We want to create a movement that empowers people to travel responsibly and with purpose." The room buzzed with energy as she laid out the details. She presented the idea of hosting sustainability workshops at major airports, where passengers could learn about eco-friendly practices while traveling. They discussed incorporating incentives for passengers who choose greener travel options, like digital rewards for using reusable items or opting for direct flights. As Claudia spoke, she could see the team becoming more engaged, their excitement building. Ideas flew back and forth, with team members suggesting partnerships with local environmental organizations and creating an interactive platform on the Celestial website where passengers could share their sustainability commitments. Let's not just stop at our flights, Claudia urged, her passion evident. We should extend this to our operations as well. We can explore using biodegradable products on our flights, minimizing waste in our lounges, and even sourcing our food locally. The meeting ended with a renewed sense of camaraderie, and Claudia felt invigorated by the team's enthusiasm. They set ambitious timelines for the campaign rollout, and as the weeks passed, it quickly gained traction. Then came the day of the campaign launch. The Celestial headquarters was abuzz with energy as Claudia, Daniel, and the marketing team prepared for the press conference. Media representatives from all over the country were in attendance, eager to hear about Celestial's groundbreaking commitment to sustainable travel. As Claudia took the stage, she felt a rush of adrenaline. She was no longer just a flight attendant, she was the CEO of an airline leading the charge for change in the industry. Welcome, everyone, to the launch of our Fly with Purpose campaign, she announced, her voice ringing out with conviction. She shared stories of how Celestial's sustainability initiatives were already making a difference, reduced waste in their operations, partnerships with local farms for fresh produce, and the introduction of carbon-neutral flights. As she spoke, she could see the journalists nodding, their interest peaked. After her presentation, a flurry of questions ensued. Claudia handled each one with poise, eager to share her vision for a sustainable future in air travel. As she concluded, a wave of applause erupted in the room, and she felt a swell of pride. But it wasn't just about the applause. It was about the impact. Claudia knew that with every step forward, they were inspiring other airlines to rethink their practices and commit to a more sustainable future. In the following weeks, the campaign was met with overwhelming support from passengers. Social media buzzed with posts using the hashtag #FlyWithPurpose, and the engagement from the community was beyond their expectations. Passengers shared their commitments to sustainability, and stories poured in about how the campaign inspired them to make greener choices while traveling. Claudia felt a renewed sense of purpose as she watched the campaign flourish. She had always believed that travel should be more than just a means to an end, it should be an experience that respects the planet and empowers individuals to contribute positively. Yet, amid the success, Claudia remained grounded. She understood that sustainability was an ongoing journey. She continued to meet with her team, brainstorming new ideas to expand their initiatives and keep the momentum going. One evening, as she wrapped up her day at the office, she received a text from Daniel. "Let's grab dinner tonight. I want to discuss some exciting developments." Curious and eager, Claudia met him at a chic restaurant downtown. Over a delicious meal, Daniel shared his thoughts on how the campaign could be expanded globally. "I believe we have a unique opportunity to partner with international organizations that share our values," he said, his eyes sparkling with excitement. Imagine Celestial being a leader not just in the US but globally in sustainable air travel. The idea sent a thrill through Claudia. That would be incredible. We could set the standard for airlines everywhere. As they continued to brainstorm, Claudia felt the sense of excitement in the air. They were building something greater than themselves, a legacy of leadership and responsibility in the airline industry. With every step forward, Claudia realized that they were not only soaring to new heights but also forging a path for others to follow. The future looked bright, and she was ready to embrace whatever challenges lay ahead. As she left the restaurant that night, the city lights twinkled like stars against the deepening night sky. Claudia felt a sense of hope and determination. Together, they were not just changing the face of air travel, they were redefining what it meant to fly with purpose. As the Fly with Purpose campaign continued to gain momentum, Claudia found herself at the helm of a rapidly evolving Celestial Airlines. Her days were filled with meetings, brainstorming sessions, and countless conversations with passionate individuals who shared her vision for a sustainable future. The energy in the office was electric, and Claudia thrived in this environment of collaboration and innovation. However, with the success of the campaign came new challenges. As she delved deeper into her role as CEO, Claudia quickly realized that managing a large team and implementing significant change was a balancing act. The excitement of progress was often tempered by the weight of responsibility. She needed to ensure that the company not only met its sustainability goals but also maintained its reputation for luxury and customer satisfaction. One afternoon, while reviewing the latest updates on the Green Flight Initiative, Claudia received an unexpected call from an environmental consultant. Claudia, we've been following your campaign closely, and I believe we have an opportunity that could elevate your sustainability efforts even further, the consultant said, her voice filled with enthusiasm. Intrigued, Claudia set up a meeting to explore this new possibility. She arrived at the cafe, a cozy little spot adorned with plants and natural light, ready to hear what the consultant had in mind. When they sat down, the consultant laid out her proposal with a sense of urgency. We can help you develop a comprehensive carbon offset program that not only benefits Celestial but also engages your passengers in meaningful ways. Imagine a program where travelers can see the direct impact of their flights on the environment. Claudia leaned in, captivated by the vision. How would that work? We would partner with reforestation projects and renewable energy initiatives, the consultant explained. Passengers could choose to contribute to these projects when they book their flights. And in return, they receive updates on the impact of their contributions. It creates a tangible connection between their travel and environmental stewardship. The idea struck a chord with Claudia. Not only would it enhance their sustainability efforts, but it would also deepen the relationship between Celestial and its passengers, giving them a sense of agency in their travel choices. I love this concept. Let's develop it further and see how we can integrate it into our existing campaign, Claudia exclaimed, her excitement bubbling over. As they discussed the logistics of the program, Claudia envisioned a launch event that would coincide with the annual Earth Day celebrations. It would be an opportunity to showcase Celestial's commitment to sustainability and inspire passengers to become active participants in the initiative. With the plans for the carbon offset program taking shape, Claudia returned to the office, energized and ready to present the idea to her team. She gathered everyone in the large conference room, the walls adorned with posters of their campaign. The atmosphere was charged with anticipation as she revealed the new initiative. Team, I'm thrilled to share that we have the opportunity to launch a carbon offset program that will not only enhance our sustainability efforts but also engage our passengers in a meaningful way, Claudia announced. The room erupted in applause, and Claudia felt a rush of pride as she continued outlining the details. Over the next few weeks, the team worked tirelessly to finalize the program, collaborating with environmental organizations and developing the necessary infrastructure to make it a reality. Claudia felt a sense of purpose with every meeting, each one bringing them closer to launching a program that could make a significant impact on the planet. As Earth Day approached, excitement filled the air. Claudia had organized a series of events at major airports where Celestial operated, including educational booths, guest speakers, and interactive activities that showcased the importance of sustainability in air travel. It was a chance to connect with the community and inspire travelers to consider their environmental impact. On the morning of the event, Claudia stood at the bustling airport terminal, surrounded by her team as they set up the booths. The atmosphere was alive with energy, passengers moving through the terminal with a sense of purpose and excitement. She watched as families gathered around the booths, children eagerly participating in eco-friendly crafts, and adults engaging in conversations about sustainability. As the keynote speaker took the stage, Claudia felt a wave of emotion wash over her. The journey from her early days as a flight attendant to this moment, leading a campaign that could change the industry, felt surreal. She had come to understand that true leadership was about more than just making decisions, it was about inspiring others and fostering a sense of community. When her turn to speak arrived, Claudia stepped up to the microphone, her heart racing with anticipation. Welcome, everyone, to our Earth Day celebration. Today, we're not just launching a program, we're starting a movement, a commitment to travel with purpose and to make a difference together. The crowd erupted in applause, and Claudia felt a surge of energy as she continued. With our new carbon offset program, every flight you take with Celestial will contribute to a brighter future for our planet. Together, we can turn our travel choices into powerful actions for positive change. As she spoke, Claudia noticed the faces in the audience lighting up with interest and enthusiasm. She shared stories of how their contributions would help restore forests and support renewable energy projects, creating a sense of connection between the passengers and the environment. The passion in her voice resonated with the audience, and she could feel the collective energy building. The event concluded with a festive atmosphere, and passengers began to sign up for the carbon offset program on their mobile devices. Claudia felt a profound sense of accomplishment as she witnessed the impact of their campaign firsthand. The commitment from the passengers was overwhelming, and the sense of community was palpable. As the sun began to set, casting a warm glow over the terminal, Claudia stood back and took in the scene. Families were smiling, children were laughing, and conversations flowed around her like a vibrant tapestry of hope. It was more than just a successful event, it was a reflection of the change they had ignited. In the following days, the response to the carbon offset program surpassed all expectations. Media coverage was widespread, and passengers flooded social media with their commitments to sustainability. Claudia felt a sense of pride in the movement they had created, and she knew that together, they were forging a new path for the future of travel. But amid the success, Claudia understood that the journey was just beginning. There were still mountains to climb, hurdles to overcome, and innovations to pursue. As she prepared for the next phase of their initiatives, she felt a renewed sense of determination. One evening, as she was winding down her day at the office, she received a call from Daniel. "Claudia, I've been thinking about our upcoming strategic meeting. I want you to present the impact of the carbon offset program and outline our next steps." "Absolutely, Daniel. I'll put together a comprehensive report with all the data and feedback we've gathered," Claudia replied, her excitement bubbling over. "Great. I believe this is just the beginning for Celestial. We're not only changing the narrative in the airline industry but also setting a precedent for corporate responsibility," Daniel said, his voice filled with enthusiasm. As she hung up the phone, Claudia felt a wave of motivation wash over her. The future was bright, and she was ready to navigate the new horizons that lay ahead. Together with her team, she would continue to soar to new heights, creating a legacy that would inspire generations to come. The journey was far from over, but with every step they took, Claudia knew they were shaping a world where travel was not just about reaching a destination, but about making a difference along the way.